I'll close that up and put that aside. So that's done. And what I'll do is I'll get another one, another parts tray, $2, whatever they are, worth their weight in gold. And then I'll take, just as you're taking things apart, have a bit of a, if you're intrigued like I am, just have a bit of a squiz, you know, another Aussie term, squiz. Have a look around, see how things work, see why things dirty, why things not, you know, just have a little bit of a scratch around. Okay, this bridge is the mainspring barrel bridge, or barrel bridge or whatever. Got 3 screws in it. Again, I think these screws with the other screws are the same size, but I'm not entirely sure. I should get them under a microscope and have a look. All right, but in any case, I will use my Rodico to pick them out because I just don't trust myself. Or okay, that's one. Which is the other? I'll take this. There's one there. All right, let me just make sure I'm set. There's one there. There's one there. There's one there. I'll take them on the edge out. You know what I should do is I should just loosen them. Should loosen them all. Just have the pressure off because you don't not that things will twist, but you know it's like pulling apart an engine, right? Take off the head of an engine. You take it off in a systematic fashion because you don't want things to twist and warp and that sort of stuff. So our watch movement is, well, I should say it's completely different, but the same principle should apply. When you're taking something off that's got multiple screws, you should do it in some sort of fashion that's going to not put any undue pressure on it. Got 3 screws are off of that. Again, just get underneath that a little bit. Again, I've only had this apart a couple of weeks ago, so everything should pop straight off. Right, then you take that off, and okay, see, this is why I say take what's come off now at the same time is that hacking lever. See, if you didn't see that, there it is there. Let me just grab it. See it? Now, if you didn't see that and you chuck that in somewhere, you'll lose it. And then, although the watch will still operate without that, it's a good little feature to have, and it'll really annoy you quite a lot. Now that hacking lever, I'll show you it. It's like an L shape, right? Okay. Where are we here? See, it's like an L shape. So I was doing my little picture before, my little, yeah. Right, now that sits. I'll just chuck it on there so you can have a look. It's actually quite crude but quite ingenious. So that sits on a little post like that. Are you getting any of this? Let's see if I can get it. See, it sits on, there it is. You can see it. Now, I'm not going to line it up properly because I'll probably lose it because it'll flick it. But that there, here we go. That there will ride inside that clutch. So when you pull the clutch out, it pushes it forward and moves it. See? Let me just see if I can get some sort of... It'll just move it down like this. You know, move it up. It'll move it down. Oops. You move it down like that, right? When it moves it down, the what's its name lives in here, the balance. When it moves down, it locks onto the balance or touches the balance and hacks the movement or stops the movement. So setting, some books call this hack lever, other ones call it the stop lever, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it, you can call it. I'll put that in there as well. There's a reason I like putting it in the same compartment is because you don't want to forget. You don't want to forget to put it on. I'll put that bridge. So you don't want to forget to put that on because that's going to annoy the absolute crap out of you. Now, this is the mainspring barrel. Take the mainspring barrel out. And I'll pull that apart and show you what it looks like on there. I'm not going to undo it. I'm not going to clean it. Like I said, this movement is brand new. Oh, well, I don't know if you know, but this movement is brand new. I've had it apart a couple of times. I've oiled it. I've cleaned it. I'm not going to take the mainspring out because it's a pain. Well, I don't want to do it because there's no need to do it. And this is your center wheel, center second wheel, which is not in the center. And that comes out. And what I normally do with this, did I just move my camera? Of course I did. Let me me just move it up. Yeah, I normally like keeping this with that, so I remember to put it on before. You got to put that on first, because once you put this mainspring barrel on, it locks it into place. So you make sure, you know, although it's part of the gear train, you want to keep it separate. But what I will do at this stage is, shall I? Of course, what I want is on the bottom. It's always the case, isn't it? Let me just, sorry about making a bit of noise here. I'll just show you this because, you know, it's. I will service a mainspring one day when I need to, but so at the moment I get my little staking block, brass one. Nice one. It's nice. That came up really nice. When I got that, it was black. You can see here how it was in here. You can see how it was black, and I got it on the wire wheel, brass wire wheel, and then I got it on the buffer, and it's come up. Look at that. It's come up a treat, hasn't it? Awesome. Got some other ones here as well. A bit of show and tell, nothing exciting, just, you know, just steel ones. Yep, okay. Good to have, awesome to have. You never know when you need them. Right, so let's just put the, now the way you do this is you turn it over. Yep, turn it over, find the hole that it was, well, don't put it in a hole. What you got to do is you got to push this, and what will happen, actually, no, I won't use that one. I'll use, scrub that from the, right, just put it on another block, and then you just got to get your fingernails on there and just push it down, and that'll pop the top off. So let me just move that out of the way. Which is the easiest way to do this without absolutely ruining everything. So I haven't got enough room here, but I'll give it a crack. I should have better nails. I might use a screwdriver. There you go. Hear that little click? Clickaroo. Right, so just be very, let me just make sure I've got you. Just be very careful when you take this top off, because if that spring flings out, it's going to take out an eye, and it's just going to be really, really pain in the ass. So just be real. I'd be really careful that it falls out of my damn hand. Be really careful. You don't, last thing you want is this spring to fling out. Anyway, there you go. So there's a mainspring. Oh, where is it? There's a mainspring. See, it's glistening. It's brand new, right? As it should be. So that's the mainspring. You take it out, and you can either, there's a special way to walk, well, not special way, but there's a nice way to walk it out. Therefore, you don't damage it, and then putting it back in, you can wind it back in manually. There's lots of videos on YouTube how to do that, or you use a mainspring winder. But basically, you wind it in, and then what you would do is, I'll just leave it in full view there. Then you grab your little tool that I had before, that I showed you when I was doing my little tool video. This little doodah here. Rest it on that, and so what you do then is, you get that, grab your mainspring, put it in the center, grab the top, drop it on the, make sure you drop it on your bench first, because that's just a sign of good luck, right? Get it on the right side, flip it over, make sure you've got, obviously when you take this out, you make sure the, what's his name is engaged as well, that arbor, mainspring barrel arbor. Then you just put the top on, just rest it on, nothing special. Grab the top, put it on, make sure it's centered, put the top on, and you will hear a click. I'll be quiet so you can hear it. Did you hear it? Just went a click. Then you just, and that didn't work particularly well actually. I didn't click on. Maybe it wasn't exactly in the center. You know, we'll just put it again. Let's do it again. Okay, have a look. Always double check your work. Okay, and that is done. You just might want to just double check it manually like that, but yep, that's fine, it's done. Okay, so that little tool there, yeah, $10. Well worth it. You know, rather than other people, I've seen other people grab it with like this and they crimp it like this, and they crimp it around and away they go. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you just want to avoid any sort of, I don't know, for $10. It's a nifty little tool. I was actually going to make one on the lathe, actually. I was going to make one out of aluminium. I thought, I'm not paying $10 for that. I've got scrap aluminium now. I'm going to make it myself, but I didn't. I bought it. Right, that's the center. Put away the little staking block that I had out. Right, easy. All right, so that takes care of that. And anything that's left then is this area. I've got to flip it over. Is the keyless works. But I say, again, good idea. That's why another reason I'm going to say this over and over again. Another reason why I like keeping that stem and crown in, because it just allows you to do that. Chuck that in. Right, now centered. Are we centered? Are we good to go? We're good to go. Good to go. Right, now what I'm going to do with this is keyless works. Obviously it's keyless because there's no keys. It's you know, wound up using this crown. And it's quite ingenious actually. You can have a bit of a play around with it before you take it apart. It's actually quite smart. You just, you know, when you put it out, one click, and this has got no complications. So one click, and that's all you're going to get. That'll, and you just see how it works. Just one click that pushes the clutch forward, and obviously, like I said before, hacks the movement as well. But it pushes the clutch forward, which that engages with this intermediate setting wheel, which at the same time when you pull that back, there is a lever under there as well. I think it's called a switching lever, that moves, so that engages. So what this clutch does is, clutch has got teeth on it, and those teeth engage with this intermediate setting wheel. So the clutch is going this way, right? Oh, are you getting this? Yep, going this way. So it's going this way, and then has this for a backyard explanation. So I make right. So as this wheel was going this way, right, the intermediate setting was going this way. So when you put the clutch, when you pull the lever out, the stem and crown, when you pull it out, it pushes the clutch forward. So what it does is it pushes it forward. So those gears there engage with these gears here. So it goes click, and then it engages. As you wind that, it turns this, right? So if you're going this way, so if you're going clockwise, this will go counterclockwise, or as we say in Australia, anti-clockwise. We're not anti-clocks, we just say anti-clockwise, counterclockwise. Okay? And then that engages then with the minute wheel, which, you know, changes the time. And, you know, if it was a more complicated movement, like I will probably work on a little bit later on, and I've lost my little bit of blue tack that was on the bottom of there. Oh no, there it is. If it's a little bit of more complicated movement, there'll be another step. So normally the first click will change the date, and the second click, the first click will change the date if it's a date function. If it's a date function, it will probably change the day and the date. And then the second click will go into this, you know, change the time. So it's quite, you know, when you look at it and play with it, it's actually quite, you know, quite ingenious. You know, just have a bit of a look. And if you like little mechanical things like that, like I do, it's actually quite smart. All right, now, some of these movements, you just need to release the tension of the spring here, because when you undo this, it might fling away. I've had this apart a couple of times and it's never sprung on me. But just even the finish on this, I know this video's gone on far too long, but I just want to, you know, the way I see it is I'm not going to teach you anything that you don't already know, but it just give you a bit more confidence. And just if I can tell you one thing that somebody else hasn't said, and I've gained my knowledge out of reading lots of books and looking at lots of videos, and you get a little bit from everybody, and it sort of helps you along. But look how, I mean, this is not as clean as it should be, but get a bit of rock on that. But look at that, the finish on that setting lever spring, whatever it's called. Setting lever spring, I think it's quite a nice finish. And that the movement itself, it's actually quite nicely put together. Like it'll hold its own. You know, I mean, we're not talking. I mean, it's a Swiss movement, okay, but I mean, we're not comparing it to a Rolex, or a high end Omega movement, or a Patek Philippe movement. We're not comparing it to that at all. But it's a Swiss movement. It's actually made quite well. If you compare it to like a Seiko movement, it's pretty cool. It's pretty nicely finished, I must say. I'm impressed. I didn't know what to expect, to be totally honest. But anyway, dribbling on. Anyway, this is a good movement, and it times really well. You know, like when I tie it on the timing machine, it timed really well. Anyway, so we'll get rid of that. That's the screw there for that setting lever spring, I think it's called, or setting lever plate. All right, we'll chuck that in that compartment, and then what I'll do as well is I'll get my, pegwood, and I shape my pegwood. I've told you how I shape them. I shape some of them like a shovel. Just have a look. I shape some of them like a shovel. Just to hold things down, or if you want to get under something. I shape some of them. So that one there is like a shovel. And I got my rodica at the end of that. Anyway, okay. Then I shape some of them sort of pointy, but then I flatten the end. See the flatten? So I flatten the end on that, and that's just so I can hold things like if I'm putting the when I put this watch together, I put the gear train on there. When you just apply a bit of pressure, just so it doesn't, so it's a bit flat, so it doesn't slide everywhere. So I do that, and then the other ones I do is I do them to a really, really fine point. Now this one here's not a really fine point because I've probably butchered it a bit, but really fine point in case when you want to test out. When we put this together, we'll be testing out the movement of the pallet. You might want to flick it. So before I do that, I will sharpen this one up because anyway. But I will grab the spade one and just hold it on top. Just when I just try to take this off, just so it doesn't flick over on me. Not that it will, but just take that out. There you go. Just saying, there's no more like the only time it will do it in ever in its life would be now. So that's the setting lever cover spring. It's quite. Let me just get this into view as well. It's quite an ingenious bit of kit actually. It's got a number of functions. Let me just put on my sweaty fingers there. Lovely. It's got a couple of functions. It's got this this bit here is a spring. See, it's opened up this a little bit there. That engages with the and I'll show you in a minute. Engages with the yoke. It's normally called the yoke, but in this particular movement, I think it's called the yoke, as well as they call it the clutch return lever, and that engages with that to keep tension on it. So it's spring loaded, right? Then you've got here the detent spring in the bottom here. So it's got one notch, two notches. That notch there is when it's in the winding mechanism. When you're winding it, so when the crown's all the way in, and you're winding the watch, that's what that is. And then when you pull it out one click to set the time, it clicks onto that, right? Now, if this was a complicated watch and it had like a date or day function, there'll be that one there, there'll be another one in the middle there somewhere, and then there'll be that one there. So there'll be three little notches. That there, so that's another spring there, and then there's I think that there just puts pressure or puts tension on the setting lever. And I don't know what this. Anyway, so it performs 2 or 3 different functions. So it's quite an interesting bit of kit that. But anyway, bored you enough? Yep, okay, sure. Probably tuned out by now. Probably tuned out about half an hour ago, but anyway, it is what it is. So in here, and then I'll just bring it up a bit so you can have a look. And you've probably seen hundreds of these before. There is that there is the clutch return lever, or the yoke. That there is the setting lever, and this one underneath, that one there is that. And see that little post, that's where the intermediate setting wheel lives. That one there is called the switching lever, and it could be called lots of other things. Then in here, that's obviously the winding crown and stem. This first cog, now in some movements this is all integrated in the same one, but this cog here, that's the winding pinion. Now what that does is when it's in the winding position, that pinion there, as you're turning this around, right, this pinion here engages with the crown wheel. That crown wheel that came out from, the other side, on the left-hand thread, it engages with that, turns that, with that in turn turns the ratchet wheel, which the ratchet was attached to the barrel, that winds your watch up, right? So that's what that does. It's the winding pinion. And then in here, that meshes to that, so two separate gears or cogs or wheels, is the clutch wheel. And that clutch wheel's got engages with this. There's some really funky looking teeth in there, and then that there, see how when I showed you my little abstract plastic cogs, that there engages with that there. So as that turns, it engages with that intermediate setting wheel, and on here, on that post, lives the minute wheel. So when you pull this out, pushes this forward, that ratchet wheel engages with that intermediate setting wheel, turns the minute wheel, and the minute wheel in turn turns the minute hand, and because that minute wheel's got that little gear in it as well, which that changes the hours as well. So, and that's where the in this center, that's where the minute wheel lives, and this is where the cannon pinion and drive wheel and cannon pinion live in there. That's the post which is built into the plate, and that there is the capsule, the top capsule for the balance. So we can rip that open, and I won't give that a clean now because I can't be bothered. I've already done it. I've already cleaned them, and so that's the top one. The bottom one sits on the balance, on the top of the balance. If you notice, on top of the balance where the adjustment is. So that these are a pain. This is another good a good use of that number 5, the really pointy tweezers, to get these little springs out. Now, you lose these springs, you can have an awful time trying to find out. That's delicate work. I've done that, and yeah, that tested my patience. I was shaking like this, mate. I was like shaking like out of control. But anyway, the more you do it, the better you get, I suppose. So then just have a general inspection, chuck it under a microscope if you can, check all your jewels out. But that's it. So I will take the rest of those out. Hope you got something out of that. If you didn't, well, I'm sorry. Right, so taking the yoke out, just with a bit of Rodico, straight out, nothing special. Chuck it in there. Then the setting lever comes out, again, a bit of Rodico. Have a good look at the orientation, how these go in. Once you've done it a couple of times, it makes sense. But the first time I took it out, I had to go to the book. I mean, why not? But the more times you do it, the easier it gets. Some of these watches that are kind of Seiko, it sits a little bit different. It sits on the top here rather than on the bottom. Anyway, then you take off this. They call this one here the switching lever. So that comes off again. Bit of Rodico. That's why I just find it easy to pick up with the Rodico. Therefore, you sort of got two hands. Chuck that in there as well. It's sticking on there. Too much oil on that. Then all that leaves then, and I'll bring this up so you can have a better look at it. Is that in focus? Yeah, so here you've got your winding stem and crown, and then that goes into this winding pinion, which then engages into this clutch wheel. So once I pull this stem out, they are just going to fall out into the bottom. All right, so then that, my friends, is the end of that. So you can be a real smart, and pull this out, just to test your skill level. Pull that crown out slow and try to grab the clutch wheel without it falling through. See how good you are? Like I wasn't. No, it wasn't. That was a massive fail, but it falls down anyway. So you got the clutch wheel, which is really, really small. I'll just show you what they look like. Yikes. See how small they are? This is like pinhead stuff, like a mil in diameter. That's the clutch wheel. Put that, and this is the winding pinion, again, really, really small. And you got to be careful when you put these in the right way, because they've got teeth on one side, and you're not going to see this under this magnification. No, not going to happen. Well, you can see a little bit. See how there's little teeth, little funky little teeth, like little chamfers. Well, they engage. You see, if you put it on upside down, and I'll turn it around, and hopefully I don't lose this. See how that's just flat. So that side goes up against the case here, right? And that side there with the gear, whoops, again, I don't want to lose this because I'm going to have a hell of a time finding it. Come on, man. I'm just wasting a bit of time there because I'm done. Here. So see those gears? They will engage with the clutch wheel. So you've got to have that on the right way. If you don't have that on the right way, nothing... And see, I dropped it, but I dropped it on the bench. Yeah, if you put it on the wrong way, then you're going to have a hell of a time because nothing's going to work. But then the crown is done. The crown falls out. Crown goes back in there. And that, folks, is Sellita SW210-1 pulled apart. So you just pop that out. Now chuck that in the cleaner if you want. Dismantled, put it away, and away you go. That's it. Thank you very much for I hope you got something out of it, or entertained, or bored. Maybe you're suffering from sleep deprivation. I'm sure this will put you to sleep. But anyway, have a crack. Like I said, don't be scared. I'll have it here, give you a bit of something to look at. Don't be scared of having a crack at these. Let me just zoom you out a bit. Yeah, don't be scared of having a crack. It's just mechanical. Just be careful you don't lose anything. Just be careful, watch what you do. Take plenty of photos. I've done this movement a few times, so I sort of know what I'm doing with this movement. Plus I've got the book. But have a go. It's not that difficult. It's really enjoyable. It's just, gives you something to do with this. I mean, out there it's pouring down with rain. It's not good weather, but yeah, there you go. Thank you for watching, and I'll attempt to put this together next time. Bye.